Are you tired of the same old marketing game? Well, buckle up, my friend, for email marketing magic, attracting clients like a magnet. Let's make your clients stickier than a glue factory. Imagine email marketing had a baby with video. It's not just cute, it's a marketing prodigy. And with a whopping $42 for every $1 spent on email, adding video catapults click-through rates by up to 300% and shoots conversion rates up by 80%. Adding video to email is like the marketing world's spinach for Popeye. It boosts authority, strengthens connections, and comes in so many flavors, even Baskin Robbins would be jealous. Pair the two with our relationship-based sales process, and you've got a match made in sales heaven. Join me for this Big View Expert Workshop on May the 2nd, and turn your marketing process into a client-attracting magnetron.
Hi, welcome. Welcome to today's workshop. Today we have a special treat for you. Video email magic, attracting clients like a magnet. So we are privileged to have with us today Ed Fortra, who's an experienced marketing strategist with over 30 years of experience. He has a deep understanding of sales psychology and the tactical use of video and email. So this is really a special treat. We have, Ed's experience in this domain enables us to really to have a completely different approach to this. I'm privileged to have him with us here today. I'd like to hear a little bit from you about our viewers, where you're coming in from. If you're new to Big View, if you're already existing Big View viewers, just welcome to you all. So I see we have a mentor from Carrollton. We've got Nelly from Miami. And then we've got as well Troy. Troy, I'm not sure where Troy's coming in from, but good to have you with us today, Troy. We've got Sarah from Tampa Bay. Peter, happy to have you with us as well. And then we've got Jean from Colombia. Troy's from Atlanta. Jerry from Memphis. Nanette coming into us from Argentina. Nice to have you with us. And then we've got as well from Austin, Texas, Stafford, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Really fantastic to have such a benevolent audience with us today from New York City. Cheryl from St. Pete, Florida. Then Griffin from Hanford and from California. Fantastic. Really happy to have you with us here today. So today's format, we're gonna try and get the most out of it as we can to give you guys a bit of insight into email and video marketing. We encourage you to post your questions in the chat. Let us know the kind of issues that you're dealing with, and we'll see how it can help us to give you information how to resolve these kind of issues. We'll bring them into the discussion as we go along. In addition, Ed's got a special giveaway for you today. You'll need to reach out to Ed by email or by LinkedIn to contact him directly through LinkedIn. We'll send the details in the chat. We'll post the details in the chat, so you'll be able to pick up his contact details. If you have any questions, please reach out to us through the chat. We'd be happy to hear from you. And with further ado, I'd like to introduce Ed and hear from Ed. Welcome.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much. I appreciate the introduction. It's great to be here. We started talking about this over a month ago. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. I think almost 2 months.
Yeah. I must tell you all that when Ed first met me to discuss about the workshop, he just was just a fantastic experience. He just you'll see for yourselves. He's just such a natural guy, down to earth and really knowledgeable at his field. And I'm really looking forward to learn a lot today myself. And so, Ed, tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do.
Well, I've been a marketing consultant for over 30 years. About 20 years ago, I started using email, and I fell in love with email. It's such a great medium for reaching your target market directly without having to wait. You get an immediate response, and it just has gotten better and better over the years. And about 4 years ago, I found out about email deliverability in a bad way. I was trying to send out an email campaign. I was using I was a beta tester for a new ESP, and none of the emails were going out. I had 7 test accounts. I sent out 49 emails over a week. None of them got delivered. One was in the spam box, and none of the other ones were anywhere to be found. And so I ended up hooking up with my current business partner, who's been doing email deliverability for about 8 years. And he taught me all about it. And I figured out, well, okay, this is how you get emails in the inbox now. It's
Yeah.
changed from when I got started. And I became known as Mr. Deliverability. But the thing is, I've always been a sales and marketing guy. Email deliverability was just about me getting my emails in the primary inbox, and I knew other people had the same problem. So we work with a lot of different companies. We work with agencies, we work with individual people. Typically, they start off coming to us because, hey, our emails aren't performing as well as we think they should be. Maybe we have an email deliverability problem. We end up finding out that maybe they do, and we fix it, but usually there's something else that's going on. So now we
Yeah.
start talking about the stuff that I enjoy, and that's marketing
Amazing.
strategy.
Amazing. Yeah, so really, so I think, Ed, you're taking us back a step. I'm saying, even if we have great content, if the email's not even getting into the right inbox and getting there, and it's getting caught up in the spam filters, or wherever it may be getting caught up, is we're wasting a lot of energy.
Yes.
Uh,
Doesn't matter. None of the other stuff matters if it's not getting in the primary inbox.
yeah,
And nowadays, it's getting harder and harder to sell. I think
yeah,
that trust is at an all-time low. Cynicism is at an all-time high. And we have clients coming to us all the time telling us, we're really having a hard time selling now. What worked 2 years ago doesn't work now. What worked a year ago doesn't work now. What worked even 6 months, 3 months ago doesn't work now. And what people are doing is they are pressing harder. It's more aggressive selling, or more brute force type selling. And what we try to do is get them to back off from that, because it actually makes the situation worse. Nobody likes to be prospected. Nobody likes to be hard sold. And they certainly don't like that now when there's so many other choices that they can make. So we've helped people reframe the way they sell. And here's the promise that I want to make to everybody that's on the call now and who'll watch it in the future. I'm going to go over a process that I teach my clients, and we've been teaching this for almost a year now. And I've taken people that don't like selling, actually hate selling, uh, don't want to sell, or don't sell at all. And I've been able to turn them into the type of salesperson that is as good as any seasoned sales and marketing pro out there. And they actually enjoy doing it now. It's not something
yeah,
they hate. And their customers like the way they're engaging with them. So at the end, what I want to do is, if we could take a vote and see if I fulfilled the promise of providing that type of process for people that they can go out and use.
yeah. So Ed, what you're saying, if I get you correctly, is that in fact, we're addressing two things. First, we're addressing, how do we formulate the content itself in a way that comes across for the person? And the second thing is technically, how do we get the content across? How do we get it in a way that it makes the most impact?
That's true. It's not only the message, it's the timing, it's ensuring that it's delivered. But what the process that I go through is, we actually close before we even present. The sale is pretty much closed by time we do the presentation. So people don't feel like they're going through a sales process at all. If you ask any of my clients that I didn't teach this process to, and you ask them, is Ed a good salesperson? And most of them would say, well, I don't know. And then you say, well, why'd you buy from him? Well, it just made sense. I didn't feel any pressure. It was a very comfortable process that I went through.
Yeah,
And we do that on purpose. It should be fun. It shouldn't be pressure on you or the prospect. And it does take time, but it's going to sound, when I go over this stuff, it may sound like, well, that's going to take a lot of time. Actually, you reduce the sales cycle if you follow the process.
right.
And
So
video is a big part of it.
what are the perfect conditions for a sale, Ed?
Well, the perfect conditions for sale, I talk about the golden quadrant that we use. And so
Okay.
I'll talk about the 4 parts of that. So you have
Okay, maybe you want to
interest.
explain because I'm not familiar with the golden quadrant. Perhaps you want to give us a little bit of an idea as to what it is.
Sure, it's a qualifying process. So there's two processes that we have. We qualify the prospect, and then we go into a selling process. There's 4 steps to the qualifying process, and there's 3 steps to the sales process. And the sales process takes somebody from I've just met you to you're sold in 3 steps. So we simplify everything. I'll say this: we're so caught up in marketing apps and marketing automation that we forget about the other person. We're communicating with another person on the other end of this. And we've gotten so caught up in all this complexity of marketing automation, we sometimes forget that. And so does the person on the other end of the marketing automation. So what we're trying to do is have a stronger connection with people
So,
and eliminate a lot of the complexity, because not only do you have to learn how to use the apps, you have to test the apps, optimize the apps. The apps are constantly changing, so the interface is different. There's a big learning curve. And what we have found is that most people buy these apps to help them make more sales, and they're hardly used. Most of them are never used. And
yeah,
if they are used, most of the capabilities that they have aren't being used. They're not being optimized. So we try to simplify that whole process. So going back to,
excellent. So,
um,
and this is something that you can apply even in today's age where we are brought into automation to leverage numbers and to get quantitative as opposed to qualitative. We can actually infuse our marketing email campaigns with a personal element, even though we're addressing a larger audience.
absolutely. What I find is a lot of times marketing automation is used at the wrong time. It should be used to qualify people and start a conversation. And as soon as that conversation starts, then everything needs to be customized, as opposed to letting the marketing automation run its course. Marketing automation does not develop a relationship. It's impersonal, and that has contributed to the lack of trust and the increased cynicism and skepticism of a lot of the offers that are out there. So what companies are doing now is they're pressing harder. For example, with email marketing, clients will come to us and say, well, our sales are down, so we increase the number of emails that we're sending from 3, if they're sending cold emails, from 3 cold emails to 11 cold emails or 12 cold emails. And my response to that is, if they said no to the first 4, what makes you think they're going to say yes to 5 to 11 or 12? They're
Yeah.
actually going to be upset that you said they've already told you, we don't want to hear from you. But you send more emails and you're more aggressive, not only in the amount of emails that you send, but the messaging that you have. And that
Right.
just causes causes a really big problem for everybody. I don't want to miss your question about the golden quadrant. So it is qualification, and there's 4 areas that we want to qualify people. We want to qualify interest. So do they have interest in the solution, or do they have interest in the problem that we can solve? Number 2 is a trigger event. So that's something that's happened in their world that raises that level of interest to a point of taking some action. It's usually that action they're taking on their own. Next step is buyer intent. So they've tried to fix the problem on their own. They were unable to fix the problem on their own. Now they're looking for somebody to help them fix the problem or buy something that could help them fix the problem.
Mhm.
Then the last
So
step,
just to get back to the trigger event, Ed, so I
yeah,
can just be
sure.
clear that I understand correctly. The trigger event is some event which would have solicited the interest. In other words, a person had some event which would make my offer relevant for him.
Not necessarily offer, but awareness of the problem. So you can have a problem going on. I'll give you an example. Almost every business needs more customers. That's like a general interest of every business. But there's also problems that occur day to day, week to week. I call those dumpster fires that are happening. Those are the things that have the immediate attention of the business owner. Sometimes the um, the general interest becomes a dumpster fire that they want to deal with right now. So when we're talking to business owners, one of the things that I tell people all the time is you have to be aware of what's getting the attention of the business owner. What is the dumpster fire that's happening there right now? Because you could go to fix a general problem. Hey, I see your restaurant doesn't have any customers in it. Do you want me to help you get more customers? But they've got a grease fire in the back that if they don't put out, it's going to burn down the restaurant. They don't care about getting more clients in. They care about putting out the grease fire right now. And so you have to look for those things. They're not hard to find, and we'll talk about how you identify those things. But the fourth part of the golden quadrant is the unique offer. And the unique offer, people get hung up on that, but it's really simple. It's building the relationship with the person. And the way we frame that before we start building that relationship, we will talk about that a bit more in a second.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So I'm happy to hear moving forward because I mean, obviously these are foundations of the way you propose we approach our marketing strategies through email. But it's interesting to hear, like, for a lot of us that are laymen, don't have the technical know. How can we translate that into concrete terms? You know, what would be the steps? What would be the concrete steps that we'd take to identify, like you said, you know, what the trigger event is, what, you know, what the issues are, and our unique offer as well.
Well, it starts with framing yourself as an authority. I like three. I like four areas. Your authority, you're a celebrity, you have credibility, and you're considered a resource. So here's one way to do it using video. There's two types of videos that I like to use. One is that it establishes my authority and credibility and trust and um, uh, authority, credibility, trust, celebrity. And those could be what I'm doing right now with you. Like one type of video, it's easy for me to do is to be on a podcast or be on a live cast, and I'm being interviewed as an expert. And I share those types of videos with people. I have dyslexia. And so trying to read a teleprompter is like reading a word salad. And when you turn the camera on, it's even worse. I stumble, I stutter, I have a hard time with it. So what I do, one trick that I use is I'm very comfortable doing Zoom calls and even doing interviews like this. So what I'll do is I'll have a friend interview me and I'll be on Zoom, and what he'll ask me questions. And then what I do is I do about a 10 seconds of filler. So we set the camera up so it's always on the speaker. So we have to get the camera to switch to me, and it does. And then I answer the question. And it's very natural. I don't have to read anything. I'm just responding to the other person. And then what we do is we edit those videos. We edit out the person who's asking me the questions. I use those as my celebrity type videos that I use. So I'm raising my level as an authority, a celebrity, and a trusted resource with these kind of polished videos that we put out, and we put them out on social media. There's other, I'll even send them to people. And it's kind of like if you were a fan of Brad Pitt and you see this movie star, when people are doing videos, it's the lower level for sure. But people see us in a different light when we're on video because so few people want to do video. So you want to take advantage of that. Then the second video that I give to them is one like I would use Big View for. I am in front of my camera. I'm speaking to the camera. I do it in either one take, sometimes three. Usually I like one take because I'm making mistakes. I sound really natural. It seems like a personal video that I'm giving to somebody. In that video, I explain what I'm giving to them. So there's maybe like we're talking about content amplification that I'm going to give out to people that are interested in it. If I give that out, maybe there's a couple other things that are packaged up. The video explains what's in the package, and it feels like a personal video for them. So now it's like this movie star, so to speak, exaggerating my
Sure. No,
my
I get where
position,
you're going.
feels like it feels personal. Now I've got this connection with the person. So that is the unique offer. It's the connection with the person that you have. And
Yeah.
if you have that connection, it's a lot easier to sell when it comes time to do the presentation.
Yeah. I mean, I know that you focus a lot on the psychology of the message. And it seems to me like, a lot of that, the celebrity effect that you mentioned is actually we sometimes we project ourselves into a different scenario. You mentioned Brad Pitt. So a lot of us will say, well, I can't be that big actor, but you're saying you don't have to be the actor. You just have to be your own celebrity. In other words, you have to find your sweet spot, your own, what I'll term as the sweet spot, and I have to bring that to my audience in a way that gives a clear message, and that will enable people to connect with me, as opposed to if I'm projecting something which is far from my reality. Would that I mean, does that ring true for you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And once you establish that with someone, now you've moved over to the three steps that I talk about, and that is make friends, talk shop, and do business. It's the oldest way of doing business there is. It's the most comfortable way to do business. Most people get business, especially early on, from referrals and relationships. Sales are basically built off of relationships. It's really hard to make sales with marketing and going to a cold market. So what we do with video, and there's other things that we can do also, is to warm up people so that they feel comfortable with us. And once they feel comfortable with us, we can make friends with them. So
Mhm.
as I mentioned, the dumpster fire that I look for. Say I'm selling one thing, but I can't ignore a dumpster fire that's going on in a business. If I help that person put out the dumpster fire, I've starting to make a friend. And there's a lot of different ways that we do that. I love content amplification, especially for people who are on LinkedIn, as a way to deal with the dumpster fire. Content amplification helps to get the right people in front of your videos. Now, more people in front of your videos, but more of the right people in front of your videos, including customers, people that you'd be doing business with. I use content amplification as much as I possibly can because a lot of people create content and just don't get much traction with it. And those people would like traction, and you help them to do it.
Yeah.
Another thing is I look at if I don't know what the problem is, I'll just have a brief conversation with them. First, I'll compliment them on the business and how well they're doing. Everything looks like it's going great, and I'll somehow weave in this simple phrase: "It seems perfect," or "It looks perfect." It's you want to work in that "it looks perfect, it seems perfect, is it perfect" phrase in there, and almost 100% of the time, no matter how good they said things were up to that point, they'll then flip and say, well, it's not perfect.
Yeah. So I
And
want to just bounce back of content amplification, because some of you may have not been here when we kicked off, and Ed's got a special giveaway for those of you that reach out to him through his LinkedIn channel, his LinkedIn identity, and through his email. He's got a special giveaway of a content amplification package. Maybe you want to tell the users a little bit about that before we move on, so that they can get an idea as to what it's all about.
sure, sure. I love content amplification. It was born out of this problem that I had with the different platforms having control over who saw my content. And this is especially true in LinkedIn. So you post content and you think it's great, you think it's going to take off, maybe even go viral, and it falls flat. You post something else and it does better than you thought. Or you post something and it doesn't get in front of the people that will move the needle for you, the people that would actually buy. And so content amplification does a few different things. First, it gets your content out to more people. Second, it puts your content in front of the right people, your actual customers. You get to choose who gets to see your content. And then your content amplification partners, which I talk about in the guide, distribute also. Well, they don't distribute your content, but what they do is they endorse your content. So then it goes out to people that are their connections, the people that they know, with an implied endorsement because they engage with your content, and you end up picking up clients there. It's kind of a heads I win, tails I win situation. So if I'm working with somebody with content amplification, there's a good chance I'll get them as a client. There's a good chance that I'll get referrals from them. And if it fails, then I can still get them as a client because I now can offer an alternative to content amplification to help them reach whatever goal they were trying to reach. It's something that I've been talking about for the last couple of months. I've given out hundreds of these guides. People love them, and at the end, we'll tell you how you can get it also.
Excellent. Sounds like a real nugget, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are going to look forward to receiving that. I also see that we have Chris that asked if we could put the stages, of the quadrant and the buying journey in the video description when we publish the video on YouTube, and I'll check out with Bruno, who I just want to give a shout to Bruno because Bruno's always on the back end, making everything turn over, and he does a great job. He's really the heart behind everything that happens out there. And I will ask Bruno to make sure that happens as well. So Chris, we'll do our best to get that out with the permission of Ed, because it's his content on that side. So
it's perfectly fine. Yeah, and I talk a little bit about that in the content amplification guide. And just reach out to me. I've got other information on the golden quadrant. It's something that if you're going to make a sale, those four conditions have to exist. There has to be interest. If there's not any interest, you're really dead in the water. You can make sales, but there will be few and far between. I want consistency. I want certainty in what I'm doing. And so the first thing that has to be there is interest. And there's different ways to identify interest in a B2B situation and B2C situation. I know we had some slides for talking about email versus other medium. I don't know if we want to throw those up real quick before we get into, there we go. This is supposed to be at the beginning, but here we go here. So if you go to the next slide, we talk about email versus other medium. One of the things that I love about email is the ROI, $42 for every $1 spent. And most people think that email is dead. It is far from dead. Imagine if I told you, you give me $1 and I'll give you back $42. Kevin, would that be something that you do all day long?
Absolutely. I would definitely.
It's why wouldn't someone want to do that all day long? The next closest thing is search engine optimization, but the problem with SEO is it takes a while before it kicks in. It could take weeks or months before you see a return on your investment. With email, it's almost instant. You send out an email, you put them into a very short sales funnel, and I'll talk about a couple different sales funnels you can run. They're really, really short. We believe in simplicity, and you'll start to see a return on your investment right away. The next slide talks about PPC versus content marketing. And if you're spending money on pay-per-click, a lot of people do it. There's other ways that are way more cost effective. Email is more cost effective. SEO is more cost effective. Content marketing is more cost effective. And you should be using those. Pay-per-click is something that I use last, quite frankly, because the return on investment is so low. And then I think we've got two more slides. The next slide talks about social media marketing, and $6 for every $1 you spend. But video with email just blows everything out of the water. And there's four things that we talk about on the next slide, which combines video and email. So 300% increase in click-through rates if you add video to your email. And you have to do it the right way. You can increase reply rates by 81%. And I've seen even bigger numbers than those. Those videos, if you do them properly, they get shared with other people. And one of the things that I like to do in video, especially video email, is the bundle a couple of things. So I'll have a well-polished video in the email, and usually there's a thumbnail. Sometimes with some services they'll do a GIF, but most of the email providers only allow you, email service providers only allow you to do a image, and an image is actually going to get better inboxing rights than a GIF. But if you combine that with how you use this personal video, where you shoot it, use your camera. You can use Big View for that. It works perfectly for that. You put that in front of your face. You do a quick video explaining what the package is, and I'll even go as far as what would be normally be considered an outtake. So I'm saying something that's like my third take, and hopefully I get this right this time, and then I start the video and I leave that part in. Or, wow, that only took 12 takes. I'm glad we got this over. And I leave that in. And people will ask me, did you mean to leave that part in? And I'll say, yeah. I go, oh, that was hilarious. Nobody does that. And so you don't have to make them perfect. You can just shoot the video once and you're done. And people love those videos. So 500%, they forward those. That's where you're going to get the 500% forwarding, and it increased conversion rates. Video increases conversion when you merge video with email. Even better results.
So I would imagine that part of the magic is actually taking your clients through the cycle. From what do we need to do to make sure that the video gets to the inbox, then what do we need to do to make sure the person opens the mail, clicks on the mail, and eventually moves from the mail to a video message or to a website or some kind of a call to action that you've done on that. And I would imagine that those are like the key elements that you teach people how to basically manage the different elements of the quadrant of the cycle, whatever you want to call it, and reproduce that in a manner that it doesn't become impersonal, and a manner that it's actually, touching the audience and touching on the issues that our potential clients are facing.
Yeah, what we try to do when we look at the messaging and the timing of a lot of this stuff, all the pieces get put together so that the end goal is we've created the perfect situation to create a sale. So we have to develop a relationship with the person. When we're sending out these sequences, we want them, the email sequences, A, they've got to get in the primary inbox. And B, we just want to initiate a conversation. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just initiating a conversation. And so what I'll do is, I think that the next best step to cover is going back to the golden quadrant and then going through each step for B2B and B2C. I'll cover B2C first. So in B2C, the first step is interest. So what we want to do there is we start with an email list, and we help people build an email list. You should have an email list. It gives you the ability to talk to many. But right now, what we're trying to find out is who on our email list is interested in this one thing. My friend Troy Hippolito was on in the audience, and we did this all the time. We called it the needle in the haystack. So it's a 2-email sequence. The first email is sent out to determine interest. We don't sell in it. All we do is we're just covering a topic. We're bringing up a problem. So do you have this problem? We discuss the problem in detail. Using video actually works better than sending to somebody to a blog post. I think we found it was the engagement rate was almost 300% higher if we sent them to a video versus a blog post or anything, static text, anything like that. So once they go there, Then we follow up. We use email automation to trigger a second email to be sent to them. We wait for them to have time to consume the information, and then we send out a second email. So the first email determines they opened it, they clicked, they've gone to the page that shows they have interest. The second step is there a trigger event? Is there something going on in the world where there's a problem that they're having, that this problem they're having, they want to solve it? And that is determined by whether they open and click on the second email that we send them. So now they clicked on the second one. Okay, we know there's a trigger event. That doesn't mean they're going to buy, but now we sent them to a page where we actually can either sell them or we can set up an appointment, whatever the next step would be. And what we found is we were getting a 50 to 60% appointment rate on that second email that went out.
That's
We
impressive.
were using B2B. When we did this with clients that are in the B2C world, the first email we'd send out would get somewhere around 50 to 60% open rate on average. The second email, once we've determined interest, would get a 70 to 90% open rate. Almost everybody would open it. And we made lots of sales, and it didn't matter how big the list was. It could be a small list of 1,000, a few hundred, to a big list as much as 2 million people. And that two-step process, what we call the needle in the haystack, determine if there's a problem and then see if there is a trigger event, and whether that trigger event is now moved to the level of buyer intent. And if it has, because of the work that we did before in making friends, developing a relationship, it's an easy sale on the end. And that's for B2C. For B2B, it's a little bit different, especially if you don't have a list. There's something in LinkedIn Sales Navigator Advanced called buyer intent. And what that does is LinkedIn follows the actions of its users. They can see what they're interested in. But LinkedIn is also owned by Microsoft. Now, I'm guessing here, but they also do say we follow their actions on LinkedIn and off LinkedIn. 85% of computers that are on the market have the Windows operating system. Right? Microsoft knows more about us and what we do than any other company in the world. So they combine that information along with what they've learned from what our actions are on LinkedIn, and they can tell whether somebody has a buying intent for certain things. So we use those filters to identify buyer intent. And then we start taking them through the funnel to determine, okay, is there a trigger event here? What I do is I use these interactive briefs to see if somebody's interested in one, just like the content amplification interactive brief that people can ask for. So if they open that brief, and I know that they've opened it if I sent it to them, then I know there's probably a trigger event there. Now, the next step is to find out, okay, are we to the point where you're willing to hire someone to fix that problem? Because the point that you want to reach somebody is you want to be in their world before the trigger event happens. But you don't want to show up when there's buyer intent. Right now they're shopping. So what we do is we kind of triangulate the buyer intent information that we have, and we're trying to determine, is it too late, or are they just kind of like they just figuring out, here, I've got this problem and I may be looking for an answer. So there's a sweet spot that we look for. So what I've done, and the nice thing about, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, LinkedIn is I would call home court for me. I'll do a search. I'll start off in Sales Navigator with maybe 110. In fact, this is an actual search. 110 people that are ideal clients for us. And then I run them through the filters. And one of those filters is buyer intent. Another one would be, have they posted on LinkedIn in the past 30 days? Are they active? Another one might be, although this one I didn't use, have they changed jobs in the past 90 days? If they've changed jobs in the past 90 days, they probably want to make a change in the new position they are. They want to be aggressive. They want to make their own mark. If they're posting on LinkedIn, it's easy to reach them because I can comment on their posts and I can start creating a conversation with those people. It's a lot easier to reach somebody that is actively posting on any social media platform. And then I layer the buyer intent, and so I know there's an intention to buy what I have to sell. So that list of 110,000 people got whittled down to 975. The 110 was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. The 975 is a stack of needles. Easy, easy, easy to find clients if I do that. So now I've got the intent. I use a, uh, a, a, a interactive brief, something that is solving a problem. Hey, you've got this problem. Here's a solution, where I talk about the solution to the problem. They take that, they go through it. Next thing is I position myself as someone who can solve the problem. I got there early enough where I'm not competing against everybody else that when they start doing a Google search to try to find somebody, I'm already there. Most people, if they believe they found someone that will solve their problem, we did the make friends, we did the two types of videos, we positioned ourselves well as an authority, a celebrity, a resource, and we have credibility. They don't go and search for somebody else. We're the incumbent. That's our business to get, and it can be very easy to get if you follow that process.
So it's really all about having the right criteria, asking the right questions, and drilling down your target to something that kind of fits into the issue that you've, or the problem that you've identified that will be there, and then you can address them and say, this is what I do. Maybe we can talk. You built a relationship. Maybe we've got a solution for your problem. Are you coming to them with a solution? Or are you obviously starting with a problem, saying, are you having a problem? You're not going to openly present the problem.
Right. It's actually easier than that, Kevin. If you follow the process right, more often than not, they'll come to you. They'll say, "Hey, can you help me solve this problem?" You don't even have to sell yourself. Um, Especially if, and I'm talking about the LinkedIn world here, I find somebody that is putting out content. Using content amplification, what we're identifying there, the dumpster fire that they're having there is they're putting out content. It's not getting any traction. I asked them if they would like to get more traction for their content, and I'm not charging them anything for this. Here's our agreement, and this is the simplistic version of it.
Right.
I will engage. I've already started engaging with their content. The conversation has been pretty easy. I comment on their post. I put a question at the end of the comment that draws them into answering or replying to the comment. Now we're talking back and forth in public. I move that conversation to a DM, continue a conversation there. At some point, I say to them, I'm surprised that you're not getting more traction with your content. And they'll go, yeah, I am too. And I'll ask, well, why do you think that is? I have no idea. Like, well, I've been engaging with your content. I think you're doing a great job. Why don't we do this? If I promise to engage with your content, and would you do the same for me? And you want them to do the same for you. And again, I cover this in the guide, but I think it's important enough to cover here too.
Yeah.
So now we have an agreement. Like, we're working together. Now, first of all, you were a prospect, and I'm not quite sure whether we're going to do business together or not. But now what we're doing is, whenever you see my content, you're engaging with it. Whenever I see your content, I'm engaging with yours. But there's some psychological things that are happening now. I've got other people engaging on my content. They're all saying nice things about me. If you come and you're engaging with my content, you're looking at my posts, you're reading some of the comments, you see all these people saying nice things about me, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Nice things.
Sure.
Like everybody else. You're going to say nice things about me. I'm saying nice things about you when I'm commenting on your stuff. So when it comes time to solve this problem that I know you have because I already did the work before the work. I know you have
Sure.
an interest in the
Sure.
problem. So when it's time
Sure.
for you to look for somebody to solve that problem, who are you going to go to? You'd be a hypocrite if you went to somebody else after you've said all these nice things about me. Uh, if the other benefit of it is it's an implied endorsement of my content when you comment and like it, and it goes out to your network. So I'm
Absolutely.
looking at who's engaging with my post, and I see it's somebody who's directly connected to you. And there's two ways I can reach out to them. I can reach out to them directly, but I could go to my content amplification partner and say, hey, I noticed you're connected to so and so. Would you mind introducing me to them? And they go, yeah, sure. Another third thing that I do, I can meet with you now anytime I want. I can say, hey, Kevin, I can send you an email. I had
Yeah.
something I wanted to run by you. Do you have 15 minutes? If we weren't content amplification partners, if I sent you that email blind, what would you do with it? Can you meet with me for 15 minutes? You're a nice guy, but I don't know if you would say, okay, Ed, this stranger, I don't know. But because we know one another and I'm helping you, you're helping me, you're saying nice things about me, I'm saying nice things about you,
Sure.
you'll take
Sure.
that meeting.
I
Everybody
mean,
does. Everyone does.
that's just amazing because I think that generally, over and above business, I think that even in general life, I think people have a generally positive disposition, and I think if we have that in mind, then it doesn't matter whether it's in a business sense or outside of it. Um, I think most situations people do want to engage, they want to contact with us and connect with us as well. I just want to just take this opportunity to bring a couple of questions in from the chat. So we have Cheryl who's asking about what the length of the video should be.
I prefer it. Well, it kind of depends. There's two types of videos. So let's say it's the authority, celebrity, credibility, resource video. I like to keep those under 3 minutes if I can. So even if it's like I take, say, our interview, and I try to find a part where I didn't talk for longer than 3 minutes, which may be tough to do,
Right.
and I take that clip and I would put that clip on my social media. So now that establishes me. But the second one, where I'm explaining what's in this package that I'm giving to you, it's kind of like a Christmas gift. I'm just going down the list and tell you, hey,
Yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah.
I've got this and this and this in here for you. Take a look at this first. I think you really like this. I put a lot of work into this. Those videos I try to keep down to a minute.
Yeah, and that rings for me because a lot of the people that we bring into workshops and we discuss the length of video with them, they say, 30 seconds, a minute, 3 minutes max, and not only that, but they say, in a video marketing environment, which I think is a little bit different. I think this is really where the distinction comes in, and this is where I'd like your feedback. Is in a video marketing environment, if you're not catching the attention, obviously perhaps some of the principles that you've given us can be applied there as well. But if you're not catching the attention at the outset, after 5-10 seconds, you've lost the person. They're going to just stop watching that video.
Absolutely.
And I think that from what I hear from you is with the email marketing aspect, is that because the cycle is different, because we there's so many elements that we have to concentrate on to actually build the relationship. By the time we maybe do get to video content or something like that, there's already much more confidence. Would you say that's correct?
I would agree. I would agree. As you were talking, I'm also seeing some of the questions coming in. One
Sure,
person
go ahead.
asked
Go ahead. Please feel free to bring in.
if the strategy would work in real estate and the mortgage services. Absolutely, yes, it would. I used to work in real estate. And I did a modification of this. This was years ago, but the process works in almost any market, certainly any professional market. It works great.
And then I think I just wanted to go back. We had one about a question for LinkedIn. Let me just see if I can pick that up again. Okay. Oops.
Yeah, my home court, LinkedIn, home court advantage for me.
Sure. Yeah. So it was from Michael Philip Levine, who says he doesn't have any experience on LinkedIn. He asked what is the importance of LinkedIn. He's been focusing on Instagram, and he's built up 100,000 follows. So he's obviously done a great job of that. So
Yeah, it's an awesome job. Well, there's just so many decision makers on LinkedIn. And the other thing that I like about LinkedIn versus any other platform, it is very easy to identify your target audience. Actually, you can identify people that are interested in what you have to sell. So you can nail it down to that. And then you have two options for reaching them. The first option for me always is, even though I'm an email guy, the first option for me is to reach them within LinkedIn. So I'm looking to see if something has changed in their world, like they've just got a promotion, they are active on LinkedIn. If they're active, they're very easy to reach. I can reach 80% of the people that are active on LinkedIn. It, and it may take up to 3 comments on their post. But by the third comment, 80% of the people are going to reply to the comment. And once we get into a conversation, we're in the DM, we're talking in DM, we're talking on email, and we're talking shop, and that's the important part of it. You don't want to jump to talking business right away. You want to talk shop first, and then you start talking business. And talking shop, some people get this part wrong, is talking shop doesn't mean qualifying the person. But we're talking about general business stuff. We're talking about things that are in common. We're talking about problems that we both have. And maybe you coming up with, yeah, I had that problem too. It's interesting. I did this thing for it. I actually wrote a guide on it. Now this is kind of advanced stuff because ChatGPT, I can solve anybody's problem. I can write a guide for any problem in about 20 minutes. And they don't know that I just wrote it and I gave it to them. But now I said, hey, I've got this guide on that particular problem. I have to find it on my hard drive, but I'd be happy to send it to you if you're interested. And then I'll say yes. Now, this is the trick to get almost 100% open rates on your emails. Like, well, what's your email address? I'll send it to you. And they give it to me. And they open it. And it takes me 20 minutes to create a guide. And I can go back to them. Well, what'd you think? Now we're talking about the guide. From the guide, we're talking about fixing their problem. But we're friends. We talk shop. It's now time to talk business. And it happens really fast if you do it. It's a shorter sales cycle than anything else I've ever done.
So there's a couple of interesting questions as well. So RC Wizards was saying, what about people that don't wish to get on video themselves? I'm not sure if the question is what can we do to get ourselves on video, or if what alternative do we have to video? Maybe you want to just clarify that, RC Wizards.
Sure.
Let's just see if they can come back and just clarify that so we understand better the question. Then we'll address that. And then Nanette's asked about embedding video in email, which is obviously a very, very hot subject.
Yes, I love embedded video in email. When I first started using that, I had, my reply rate was in the 80% range. It's dropped now since other people are using it. It's become more widely used. But almost everybody replied to it because it was such a novel approach to video, to email. I would still use it. The way it works best is not in prospecting, so blasting it out to a lot of people. It's letting them know ahead of time that you're sending it to them, and not using automation to send it, because you've got all this different code that's in there that the email service providers will filter out. It'll end up, if you try to blast it out to everybody, you're most likely going to end your email's most likely going to end up in the promotional folder of your intended user. Sometimes even in the spam folder. But if you're sending them out one by one, or low level automation where you're not blasting out like more than 25 emails or so at a time, it'll get in the primary inbox and it works great.
So I just want to come back to the question about what you mentioned about the AI today and ChatGPT. And we've got a couple of questions from Michael Philip Levine about that. We've done some specific orientated workshops on that. So I encourage you to check it out on our YouTube channel. It's an amazing space today. There's a lot happening. It's very powerful. And I think you really need to know how to specifically use it and handle it in a way that adds value, and that doesn't discredit you at the same time. So, but that's another forum, and I'll leave that for the other forum. Let's just see if we have any other questions, because we need to close off soon. Okay, sure. We got a question from Ms. Flores. Her question is, she's been off social media for a while now. And what's the best way to get back on camera? She feels like she's frozen because of the time that's passed. So I'll take the lead on that, and I'll hand it over to Ed. But simply try and learn a little bit about what's needed on the soft skill side, how to present yourself, speaking. We've got a lot of videos on our YouTube channel from people that are professionals in the field as well. Learn how to read a teleprompter. Teleprompter will help you build confidence. Learn how to write your script. And the most thing is, just practice, get out there and practice, and you'll find yourself improving, and make it fun. If anything, you make it fun, you're going to come across a lot better. So let me hand you guys over to Ed. And firstly, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ed for being with us today. It's been a fantastic experience, and I feel like we've just touched the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more I'm sure that you could bring us. So I encourage you all to reach out to Ed, via his LinkedIn channel and via email. And that way, not only will you benefit from the free giveaway of the activation template that he's giving you all, but in addition, you'll be able to reach out to Ed, and I feel privileged to have had that opportunity as well, personally. So, Ed.
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me, send me a connection request. Somebody had mentioned, what if they didn't want to be in front of the video? Ask for the content amplification interactive brief. You'll love the format. Whether people want to work with me because they see it and they want to implement some of the stuff that we do, almost everybody says, hey, that's really cool. How did you do that? And so it's an alternative to video if you don't want to be in front of the camera, and it works almost as well as video does. Kevin, I want to thank you for inviting me on this expert workshop, and it's been a thrill. It's been a pleasure and an honor. I was extraordinarily happy when we talked almost 2 months ago, and we found a slot for me here. Sure. Waiting, like looking at the days, marking them off on my calendar until we got to the second here, and it's
Absolutely.
been great.
And you've been a true professional all the way through. And I want to shout a big thanks to our viewers who've taken the time to join us today, and who come through regularly to join our workshops. It's for you guys that we're here, and that we bring great people like Ed in. And we really hope that we're bringing you, a lot more value, and improving your skill sets and your capacity to do better business and just to enjoy the experience as well. So feel free to connect with Ed, to reach out to us for anything. It's been my pleasure and my privilege to have Ed on board and to have you all with us today. So thanks very much, and don't forget to reach out to Ed for the fantastic giveaway. And a final shout, thanks to Bruno for making it all happen on the back end side.
Thank you, Bruno.
Teleprompter, create videos you're proud of. Easily trim your video by selecting the words where you want to start and end. Color your presentation with automatic subtitles and highlighting keywords. Add your brand logo. Add music for an emotional touch. Add your contact info on an animated business card on all your videos. Easily replace green screen with an image or a video loop. Stand out with a web page with your logo, your video at the center, and personalized button for visitors to interact. It's one tap to simultaneously upload your videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Always know what to say next with the Big View teleprompter.